Boom shakalaka, it's recording there, and let me hit the other record button. There, recording. All right, welcome, good evening everybody to the March webinar, the full Monty. Those of you who were expecting a bit of a show, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. So I'm hoping that, yeah, Karen's going, well, I'm leaving. No, trust me, I'd wind up having to give everybody's money back and then some. But what we are going to do tonight is talk about the full repertoire of movements. And I have talked about this and made the announcement a few times, but let me just, for the sake of future generations who are watching the recording, say that this webinar is inspired by several questions that came up once we announced that we have a new basic mandatory Tai Chi Fit routine number one, basic routine, which is based on 6 combos, 6 combinations, and those 6 combinations don't utilize all of the movements in the basic repertoire. So the question was, well, so what do we do with the other movements? And can we ever use any other movements? And if we can, when, where, why, how? So tonight we're going to talk about that, and it's actually pretty straightforward, and so late start notwithstanding, I'm hoping that to get us all out of here fairly quickly, and then we can all go have fried chicken. So that's what my plan is. As always, I'm going to be turning the microphones off just so for the recording purposes, but you are encouraged to jump in with questions whenever you have one, and just turn your own microphones on and say, hey, I have a question, or can you go over that one more time, or anything like that. And then I'll have 1 or 2 quick announcements at the end, and then we'll get on out of here. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Before I get started, any questions or announcements or general curiosities? And here's the thing. So I'm always trying to get people to not be shy about asking questions, or to like say something they think is totally selfish or whatever. One of the basic fundamental principles of Tai Chi Fit is learning begins with questions. Learning doesn't begin with statements. So when you have questions, that's always the best moment, because that's when real stuff gets downloaded and learning begins. So don't ever be shy about that. So let me just one more time just say, anybody's got any questions, foundational stuff, anything like that, except for Judy.
Edit it out.
Oh, edit it out. No. Yes, Judy.
Why?
Why? Why? Why? Well, there's 2 ways of answering that question. One is because, and the other is, why not?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see here. Got to get back to my camera here. What else? Any other questions? All right. Well, then I'm going to. Oh yeah, Jan. Yes, yes.
Are we going to go through a practicum with this new thing?
Which new thing?
The new repertoire of 6 and all that?
Yes. Yes, you will. But this is actually a really great question, and I want to make sure that I'll clarify this again a few times. But we probably by the end of next week, we've been holding back on doing this, but now things are moving forward with certain projects, and so probably by the end of next week, we will be making an official announcement that officially the new form is mandatory, and for previously certified instructors, we'll be holding some training classes online for people to come into and get the training. And then, excuse me, yes, you'll have to go through a practicum to maintain your license. Does that make sense? But we're not going to charge you for that. Right? So the new training and the new practicum, because you've already done what we asked you to do, you already did the training that we laid in front of you in the beginning. So for those people who are already certified, we're going to go ahead and give you the training for free, just to get you up to speed. For new students,
I have a follow-up.
okay, hold that thought then. For new students, they will have to go through they will have to learn the new routine as they go through the training and do what we now call part 2. So there's new material, excuse me, in the basic training, and some of the new material is what we call part 2. And so they will have to do both. Okay. Carol,
That was Carol.
Carol had a,
Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm not looking while I'm driving, so.
good.
My follow-up is, for those of us at the retreat, will we be able to do the practicum at the retreat?
No, we're just not set up to do the practicum there. We'll have plenty of time to actually play with this. And you'll get a lot of practice, and we'll get a chance to do some individualized instruction and play with certain parts of it. So retreat's a great place for those who are coming to get some additional training, but we're not going to do the practicums there. Yes, Judy.
Yeah, I want the people who just passed their instruction to understand that this is what we did.
Oh.
You don't have to do anything else until tomorrow when he starts something else new.
Well,
But
now,
you are safe for at least a month.
or at least, well, when we officially launch the part 2, right? So what part 2 will entail for everybody is a second routine, so that all beginning level instructors will have 2 routines under their belt, and this is going to be part of the complete certification and licensing program that new instructors will be training in. For people who are grandfathered in, you'll get the training, but you won't have to pay additional for it. That makes sense? I mean,
It's because the grandfather is teaching it.
because the grandfather is teaching, yes. Yeah, that's what that means apparently. Let me see if there's anything else about that. So I appreciate you guys' patience, and I know that sometimes it seems like things are, changing, but that's what happens in a transitional period. And I've tried to be circumspect about how much I announce about the new projects that we're, doing. I want to let you know that things are happening, but I've been constrained by saying too much about it. But things are really moving forward, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we will be able to make a full announcement about everything. All the programs will launch, all of the, communications will go out about, hey, now we're holding new trainings and coming in and all that kind of stuff. Very exciting, and we had a meeting today with the people that we're working with, and it was an extraordinarily good meeting, and so we're really happy. Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and jump up into the studio, and
Are we going to have to move around?
you should. You don't have to, but why would you not
Still
want to?
recovering from surgery.
Oh, well,
You know,
then you have a pass, my dear.
thank you.
No, come on, she can drag her foot around.
She-
I mean, it took out the nerve. I shouldn't feel anything.
Yeah, that's like after I had my surgery, and it was, what do you mean you can't have popcorn? Come on. No, or worse yet, what do you mean you can't use a straight razor to shave with?
You didn't turn us
Oh, all right, thank you. I can do that from here. Except that that's the wrong button. Let's try that
Why
button.
do you want him to turn you off?
Because I said I would, but all right. But once again, if you have questions or you need me to go over anything again, just go ahead and jump in and holla. Let me make sure that we're recording the right screen. Yes, we are. Okay. So first things first, what I want to do is I want to do a quick, and I mean quick, review of the new routine. So we're going to just kind of stand up and walk through this at disco speed. I'm not going to do all the repetitions and all the transitions. I just want to walk through the combinations that are a part of that new routine, okay? So join me now. Stand up and let's and I do this partially just so that we can see them and make sure that, we're getting it in our bodies. So we are talking about 6 combos that comprise the routine, or the 6 combo, the routine comprises 6, I forget the grammar on that. First combination, sinking the chi, open the door, embracing the moon. All right, so here we go. Sinking the chi, la 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 la, 1, and we do 3 of these, 2, 3, then step out and open the door, 1, 2, 3, and then embrace the moon. How many? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the whole first combo. Okay. Now we do sinking the chi as a transition, as a link between all the combos. So we do sinking the chi again. Now, just in case you're counting, and that's the whole point here, that was 3 moves. Okay. The next combination is play the peepaw, part horse's mane. So we get into it however which way we do it, but we start off with play the peepaw, and we're going to do 3 of those, 2, 3. We do a variation of parting the horse's mane, 1, 2, 3, add the hand, 1, 2, 3, transition to change sides, play peepaw, play peepaw, play peepaw. Again, a variation of parting the horse's mane, 1, 2, 3, add the top hand back in, and 1, 2, 3, transition, play peepaw again, 1, 2, 3, circle around. This time, step in, step out long. So we're doing this in a long bow step here. 1, 2, 3, bring it back for play the peepaw. 1, 2, 3, circle around, step in, step out. 1, 2, 3, bring it back into the center. We'll bring it back in, play peepaw, play peepaw, play peepaw. Now center, and back to sinking the chi. Now, all of that stuff is just 2 moves. That's only 2 moves from the repertoire list. So lots of variations and progressions and repetitions, but that only makes 2 moves. So 2 plus the first 3 is 5. So we've covered 5 movements so far. Yes? The next combination, combination number 3, is repulse monkey and brush knee and push. All right? So again, we get into it, and there's how many repulse monkeys? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. step in. Now we do all the bouncing. So 1 and a 2 and a 3, and then we have this one going, and a 1 and a 2 and a 3, and then this one going, and a 1 and a 2 and a 3, and then we got both of them, and a 1 and a 2 and a 3, and then we're going to go step out, and it's a push with a rewind, and a push, and a rewind, and a push. Now transition to the other side. Sit back, scrub, rainbow, same thing, bouncing. 1, 2, 3, this hand, 1, 2, 3, this hand, 1, 2, 3, both hands, 1, 2, 3, and step out. This time we do the different transition, drop, lift, circle, and 2, and 3, and then just for argument's sake, let's say that we do that version again, both sides. Come back to center, step in, sinking the chi. Okay? All of that, including the rewinds, including the both sides, is again just 2 movements. Right? Repulsed monkey and brush, knee, and push. Just 2 movements. So those 2 movements plus the previous 5, we now have 7 moves that we're using. Got it? Okay. The next combo, combination number 4, is cloud hands, single whip, and snake creeps down. Oy vey, oy vey. Okay, so we're floating back up here, over, and we start to get into the clouds. 2, how many? That's right, 4. 3, 4, and then hook, single whip, release. How many? 2. 1, 2, single whip. 3 of these, that's 1, 2, 3, release. How many? 2. 1, 2, single whip. 1, 2, 3, release. 2 clouds, send in the clouds. Single whip. 1, 2, 3, reverse direction. Snake. 1, 2, 3. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And release. 2 clouds. Single whip. 1, 2, 3, reverse direction. 1, 2, 3, release. Hug a tree. Center. Sink the chi. Now we do that whole combination again, this time with the step out for single whip and the snake creeps down here. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to. So we're coming back, and we finally get to that side, and then we come back to the center, sinking the chi. Now, all of that in both the no step and the step version, 3 moves. Right? That makes 3 movements. So with the previous 7 plus these 3 movements, we now have 10 moves out of the original repertoire that we're using for this routine. Capiche? The next combination number 5, is grasping the bird's tail. Now, grasping the bird's tail, again, starts off, we layer this one. So we do ward off 3 times. And we have this very interesting transition. I'm hoping that all of you guys are practicing this transition because it's one that I'm not even sure was in the original video library, but I want you all to use it. You come forward to cross underneath and then double spiral, which is what we call this circle around transition. Okay? Stepping out to this side, boom. 2, 3, scoop under, double spiral, back over here. Now, to layer in each additional part of grassbird's tail, we do 1 repetition of the previous portion and then 3 of the new portion. So we do 1 ward off, then reach forward and do 3 roll back. So there's 1, just loop it around, big oval, 2, loop it around, 3, right? And then underneath, double spiral, right? Step out, ward off, reach forward, 1, 2, 3, underneath, double spiral. Okay, so now that we've got 2 movements, we're going to do 1 of each of those 2 that we've covered so far, and then 3 of the new one. So we have 1 ward off, 1 roll back, and then the new part, which we would call squeeze. So there's 1, and then loop it around, 2, loop it around, 3, take this underneath and double spiral, right? And again, we do 1 ward off, 1 roll back, and then 1, 2, 3 of these. And now we're going to do something, we'll do 1 more of those transitions. So scoop under, double spiral, la, 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 la. 1 roll, ward off, 1 roll back, 1 squeeze, and then 3 push pull. Pull, push, 1, 2, 3. Now the transition is different. This is the sit back, open the heart transition. Scoop under. Same thing on the other side. 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And then sit back and open, step into the center, right? And that is grasping the bird's tail. Now, all of that, 1, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, however many, is 1 move. 1 move out of the original repertoire. So that 1 plus the other 10, we have used 11 movements from the original basic repertoire. Does that make sense? We have 1 more combo in the basic routine, and that is opening the heart. So we've just done, the whole thing. We come back to center, we sync the chi, blah, blah, blah. Now, opening the heart. Relax for a second. I want to acknowledge something. In the video that we posted, just because of the way that, what happened on that day of recording, I only do it 1 time in the video. You're actually supposed to do it 3 times, just like every other combo, right? So it's going to be consistent. Don't let yourself get confused that every combination will be done 3 times. It's 3s, 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 a few 4s here and there, right? But I just don't want you to be confused. So here's how the combination goes. Up and over the top, melt down as the hands descend to the belly. Float back up as the hands ascend to the heart. Circle around and back down to the belly. Palms up to the heart. Down to the belly again, then up and over the top. Descending to the belly, and then as you rise up, here we make a diamond shape with the fingers and extend, reach, share, give, blah, 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 boom. And then we do it again. Up and over the top and down, back up and around, back up and down, up and over the top and down. Here we go. Second time. Love, 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 love. And one more time. Up and over and down and around and down. Over the top. And last time. Reaching, and down. Excuse me, and sync the chi. And step together and say nice things to everybody. Okay? All of that last combo counts as one move. However, that one move was not in the original list, the original basic repertoire. So it doesn't count. It doesn't take up any of the moves from the original repertoire. That actually was added the following year. But we're going to use it as part of the basic routine anyway, because it's an appropriate capper for what we're teaching. All right? So that is the basic routine with 11 out of the 18 moves in the original repertoire. So let me pause for a moment, change the camera a little bit here, and see if there's any questions. Here we go. Any questions? Yes. Janice, my monitor's so far back I can't read that far. Janice, can you turn your mic on for yourself? Right. There you go. Janice, yes, thank you.
Question on combo number 1. You didn't do push-pull.
I didn't.
You know?
Because I'm glad you caught that, right? Because the push-pull is not officially part of that combination. But we are going to cover what it is tonight. Yes. Good catch. Excellent catch. And there's a reason why I didn't do it tonight, because I wanted to bring it up as a topic of tonight's webinar. Yeah. Very cool. What else? Other questions?
Well, I have another one.
Okay, go ahead and then Tim. Yeah.
Yeah, on the ward off, on the breast sparrow's tail,
Yes.
go through each of the sequences, building and building and building, and then when we finally get to where we have the whole thing, do we do that 3 times each side or no?
No, by that time you'll just do it once each side.
Just do one each side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The choreography calls for once each side. It is possible to do it 3 each side, and I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about when you might want to do that. Okay? But the choreography itself, because we've already built up to that, we've already done all the repetitions of all the pieces by that time.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Tim, you had a question there.
That was my question too, on that grassy bird's tail on the end. After you did the 3 repetitions of the push, then do you one more time and go through all 4 movements on each side, or?
You do it once on each side as a full combo without repetitions.
On the
Just
end?
just one time on each side.
Okay.
Yeah. So what that, just to be clear for everybody, make sure everybody is on the same page, what that would look like is, so I just already did it on one side. I just did my 3 push-pulls on one side. Now I'm going to do, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, sit back, open. Now, one more time on this side, all as one thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you just do the whole move one time on this side, grasping the bird's tail, right? And that's it. Does that make sense? I hope. Good. Groovy. What else? Other questions? Okay. To go along with the video of the routine that got uploaded today. So Rob, was it you, Rob, who sent me that list, or was it maybe it was Lynn? It was either Rob or Lynn. Wrote out the written version of the choreography, and so you will have the written notes about the choreography as well. So you'll have both. All right. So now let's take a look at what's left over. If we are looking at the original list of movements, now I have to confess that I've got a bunch of different numbers all over the place in our training materials, but in the manual there's actually 18, not 17, but 18 moves in the original repertoire list. So what are the other 7 moves that didn't get used in this routine? Right? So the first move that didn't get specifically used in this routine is called closing the door. Right? Now, you can still, the point about this, by the way, the point I'm making for all of these movements that are still unused in the list is that you can still use them. And I'm going to show you when and where tonight. But let's take a look at what you have left over. So the first one is closing the door. So closing the door is your penultimate movement in most traditional Tai Chi routines. So I'm finishing up one last thing, and then let's put this in context. Opening the door was separating the feet and up and down this way. Closing the door is I coming back to my feet are separated and scoop. 1, scoop, 2, scoop, 3, hands back to my sides, feet together. And then I would do sinking the chi again as the ultimate, as the final movement. Does that make sense? So we didn't really put that into the choreography of the basic routine, but you could still use it. Okay? The second movement that is in your basic repertoire but is not used in this routine is rooster on one leg. Right? So this move here, and when we originally added this in, we added this to a combination the following year, 2014, actually 2013, I guess, along with crane spreads wings, which was a new movement that we added to the repertoire. And then we had crane spreads wings, rooster as a combo. Right? But that didn't come up till the next year, so we didn't put it in this basic routine. And one of the reasons why is because the purpose of this basic routine is to have a beginner's form, a beginner's class that anybody could do without any kind of challenge. Like even the snake creeps down. It's like you don't have to go down very far. It's like I've got a very long-legged snake, and that's as far as I'm going. Right? You could just do that. And so we eliminated a balance move for this first routine. We'll add those in at another time. Does that make sense? So that's That's the second move. Now we have 5 more movements then on the list from the basic routine. And those 5 movements are the 5 animals: tiger, deer, bear, monkey, and crane. Now the 5 animals Qigong actually has two variations for every animal. We call it A and B, or part 1, part 2, A and B. On our original repertoire list, we only have the part A versions. So part A of the tiger, for example, is the tiger cub stretches out its claws. So it comes up, it goes overhead, and then comes down and stretches out its claws to the earth. Okay, so then we have that movement. Now, I'm not going to go through all those right now because we're going to cover all 5 of those on the 20th when we do the combo of the month, the move of the month. We're going to go through all 5 of those in that class. So if you want to cover those, come to that class. But many of you have already covered them. Some of you are using them already. And so those 5 plus rooster plus close the door are the leftover movements. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to come back to the desk. We'll chat for a minute, and then I'm going to come back and we'll do some more moving around. All right? Stay right there. Okie dokie. So, thoughts, questions? Yeah, Elizabeth, hold on. Yeah, can you unmute yourself there, dear? There we go.
Going to show us how to put the 5 animals into the basic routine.
Yes, I am. Yep. That's going to be part 2 of what we covered tonight.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Cool. What else? Other thoughts? Other questions? Yeah, Judy. Go ahead.
Yeah, closing the door, should that be a part of the main routine? In other words, the 6 combos before you start adding in the animals?
Not necessarily. So it was almost accidental. I mean, in other words, it wasn't really a deliberate thought or plan that we didn't use closing the door from the very beginning. From the very beginning, we made routines, and then the finish of the routine was just step the feet together and sync the chi. Right? And it worked so well. So we didn't feel like it had to, it was imperative that we have that move in the routine. I mean, but I want to reiterate that you can use it. There's all kinds of reasons why you might want to, right? And so we'll talk about that. If you want to add it back in, you can. But the other part of your question was, should you add that back in before you add in the animal movements? And the answer is no, because closing the door is a move for the end of the routine, and the animals I'm going to show you are better used in other places in the routine. And specifically not at the end of the routine.
Thank you.
Great questions. What else? Yeah, Tim.
Tim, go ahead.
Go ahead, Carol. Go ahead.
No, Tim, and then Connie, and then T.
My question is the order of the combos. It's different from what's in the book itself. Does it matter which order they go in? Just
Yes.
As long as you go combo?
No, it does matter. And
Okay.
we are currently rewriting the manual and redoing the video library. It's just takes as much time as it takes, but that process is going on right now. So in the last couple of months instructor hangout, I talked about this a little bit, but again, I know that we keep on talking about it so I can impress on everybody why it works out like this. So there's a reason for this choreography. There is a plan behind the sequencing of these particular combinations in this order. Ultimately, you can break this rule and you can put them in different orders and whatnot, depending upon your plan for the choreography. But in the beginning, for this coming year, for 2019, all instructors will be required to learn this routine in this order. This is our basic routine. And just to make clear what we have a variety of different reasons why we're doing this. The number one reason is that in this new project that we're engaging in, we have promised a consistent across the board product that all people will be getting. So everywhere across the country, that wherever people come to take this class, we have to show that they're getting the same class. Does that make sense? So that's not the only reason, but that's one really important reason. Another important reason is that this sequence, although it seems kind of easy and innocuous, more closely matches our theory of choreography following the 4 phases of the hero's journey. This order builds to its climax in the way that we've been teaching everybody how to do the choreography, telling that story. When you switch around some of the combos in a different order, the storyline gets a little confused. So that's another reason why we put it in that order. Let's see, Connie was next. Connie had a question, yeah.
Okay, because I teach basically senior citizens, some of the one I'm thinking of the most is the crane and the rooster. We have balance issues. Am I allowed to let them modify? You know how you lift your knee up and you're on one foot?
Yeah, no, well, so this is a great question and it's a trick answer,
Okay.
right? And by the way, we will be talking about this very subject at length in the new part 2 of our training. We recognize that this is an important topic, and so we've added it in. It's what we call our safety protocols and how we address that. So we have a philosophy in Tai Chi Fit that we never modify. We have no language for modification. We have no language for, now if this doesn't feel comfortable to you, don't do it to this level, do it to your own level, do what feels right. We never say any of that. None of that. Instead, what we have is we have substitute movements. We even have a whole substitute routine. So if you have a group of people, or if you have, the way that I teach teachers is you should always look at the lowest common denominator in the class. Teach the lowest common denominator. And then what you do is you, in your own mind, you're doing your calculations. You're doing, all right, so we're not doing crane. Or if we do crane, we're doing the crane with the toe on the ground, right? But what you say is, the way you cue it is like, I always meant it for this way. This is what I intended. There's no modification here. This is what we're doing today. Does that make sense? That's really important in the way that we do Tai Chi Fit. T, and then Judy. Yeah. and then Lynn.
Yeah, the question I was going to ask you already answered, but now I have a brand new question
Okay.
because of what you were just saying. That really, can you please say more about that? Because I thought while anytime we were watching the students, we could say, only do what's comfortable for you, only go down this slow. We can't say that anymore.
No, it's okay. Great. Let me do some clarification on that. So it is in the way that you convey that message, not necessarily. So, like, let me be really clear. And this is why it's a whole module on safety and safety protocols. Like, it is absolutely important to have safety uppermost in mind, and particularly with the seniors groups and the new group of students that we're going to be drawing in, we really have to be watching carefully for any signs that they're having physical problems or stress problems or anything else like that. But the languaging that we use is very specific. So we try to eliminate, and there is an exception to this, which I'll come back to in a second. But by and large, the way that we do this, so notice what I do say. What I say is, how low can you go? I don't care, as long as you're still smiling. Right? So in that way, I have not made anybody feel like they were unsuccessful. I haven't intimated that there's a right way and a wrong way, or a good way or a bad way, or a strong way and a wimpy way. Like I haven't said any of that. I've just said, like, and I'll make a joke on myself. I'll be like, so I'm going down and like, I'm not smiling anymore, so I'm stopping here. You can do what you want. I don't care, like. So you give people, you empower them to self-regulate without telling them, now this is what you need to do. And one of the main reasons why is that when you identify a danger zone, now people are thinking about the danger zone, and almost always they start going into that danger zone worse than they were before. Right? It's a weird human reaction. But we have to utilize the learnings that we've had around these things and not continue to make the same mistakes. So yes, you want to be able to, cue certain modifications, but it's the languaging that you use that is so critical. Let me just take it back even one step further. Class, pop quiz. I'm going to turn the microphones on. What is our singular purpose in leading a Tai Chi Fit class?
Go to flow.
Flow. Flow is it. Flow is the only purpose we have for the class. So every time you start going, now be careful, that's a flow killer. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I did say there is one exception. And that exception is, like, you've done your best, you're languaging it, you're trying to get people, and there's one or two people, whatever, however many people, who are like, oh my God, they're going to break a hip right in like 30 seconds. You have to say, like, break that rule, and say something. Make sure that you're taking care of them in a safety way. But that's sort of a last resort, and we rarely find that that's necessary. But when it is necessary, you've got to say something. That makes sense? I mean, in the new module on safety, we're going to give people resources for getting their own first aid certifications and make some some of that's going to be voluntary. You'll be able to make your own choice on that. But we're going to recommend that if you're teaching classes on a regular basis, that you have that kind of training and that you know what to do with that. Does that make sense? Judy was next with a question. Yes.
No, I think there was someone else before me. I don't know who it was.
Well, Lynn's got he's in queue.
But anyway, I'm glad you brought that up, because working with the new students, in many athletic or gymnastic or whatever activities, they call it modifications. And I have been trying to let people know that no, we don't modify. We do, and you know, it's kind of like, okay, I'm leading you, and you follow me as far as you can. That's where it goes.
Right.
And that's basically what I was talking about until it was brought up about modifications.
So here is, and thank you, Judy. So this is like when we circle back around to the conversation around the I don't care principle, and people are like, why do you bring that up? Why do you say, well, can't we have a better language around that? So in whatever verbiage that you decide to use, the first thing that we do in a class is communicate that it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter. So T, for example, this is how these two things go together. Why would people try to do more than they should do anyway? Right? Because in some internal value system, they think they're supposed to. Like in some way, they think, oh God, like he's doing it, like standing on one foot. I guess I have to too, right? Right? So before you even start moving with your first move, you've got to let people know it's like, oh God, you know, I don't care what you do. Like, don't even try. Don't try to follow me. Fly on your own. Just here we're hanging out and listening to music, you know, and having a jolly dance. I mean, like that is part of the communication. That is part of how Tai Chi Fit reaches its goal, how we get people into flow. The impediment to flow is self-consciousness. So the support of flow is to get people unself-conscious. That makes sense? All right. Lynn, thank you for being so patient, sir.
Not a problem. I'd like to comment on your no modification. I use an approach today, as a matter of fact, because I've been teaching the rooster. He just started teaching it, and my group is anywhere from 70 to 90 years old. And I can tell you, they are very good. They don't all get their foot all the way up in the air. Some of them may hold their toe on the ground, but the flow is there. And that's what the key to me is the flow, not necessarily the perfection of getting that foot off the ground. And I also have people that have been told, anytime you're tired, sit down. And I have them sit down and they do the moves with the hands. They continue with the flow even though they're sit. And I find it very rewarding that they want to continue when they're seated.
Yeah.
Now the crane, we've been doing that, and I have people that still stumble. I do. But I just tell them, some days are better than others. And some days you're quicker than others. And it works, makes everybody feel comfortable because I do it too.
I mean, this is a good point. If you can joke on yourself, for example, I don't know if you've thought of this, Lynn, or if you've done this before, but you could bring a chair up in front for yourself and just randomly sit down and say, oh God, I'm so tired today. I'm going to do a few movements on it sitting down. Anybody wants to sit down, go ahead and sit down with me. Right? Now, you haven't said anything like, now this is a modification, or this is for people who are tired, or no, it's just like, hey, I'll do it. You can do it too. If you want to keep standing, keep standing. But then everybody's like, oh, you mean we can sit? Sweet.
I have used that, but somebody else was leading, and I would go sit down in a chair because a couple people were having difficulty, and they would sit down and go with me.
Yeah. See, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Now, the other question I had is closing the door. I happen be doing a routine that I didn't realize that's what it was called, but I've been doing, closing the door. That looks like it would be ideal to use the complete sequence of the Tai Chi fit. Could that be incorporated as the last move?
Yes, what I usually say is the second to last move. So then you have sinking the chi one more time as your last move,
Okay.
right? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to move this along here so I can get back up and we'll talk about how do you do that? When do you know that you can use that and why?
Okay.
All right?
Sounds good. Thank you.
You bet. Very, very nice.
Do you want to tell them how long it took me to be a crane?
Did you say be a crone? Be a, no,
shut
oh, I'm sorry.
Crane.
I'm sorry. I just have my vowels mixed up there. I don't keep track.
I do. It took 3 years for me to stand on one freaking leg.
My goodness. Yeah. So part of this is the observation and assessment skills that you get better and better and better at, right? You make some of these determinations about, what you cue, foot on the ground, foot off the ground, when do I add, because I think maybe by now you'll start to see that a lot of the answers to your questions are not black and white. It's not about should you or should you not. It's really about when. When does it work and when doesn't it work? And so you're making these decisions and these determinations when you see, oh, so in this situation, like Lynn said, some days you're quicker than others. Some days you're more balanced than others. You walk into class one day and it's like, okay, Mercury's in retrograde for everybody in this group. We're keeping the foot on the ground, right? And it's just a determination you make right there. Right? All right, hop up, except for Connie, and let's do just a little playing around. Don't need a whole lot of moving around for this next part. There we go. Okay, so this next part is a very simple I want to cover two very simple concepts in the next 20 minutes, and then we'll see if we can get on out of here. Again, very simple concept, not rocket science, not mysterious at all, but hugely effective. And this is what I call the +1 principle. The +1 principle. And what this means is that at the end of one of the 6 combos that you have as the basic routine, you can add another move. You can add a +1. Does that make sense? So for example, and this is Janice's question, in the first combination, sinking the chi, opening the door, embracing the moon, you can add one more move. And one of the moves that we do a lot of, we use to great effect, is push-pull. Now, it's not part of the actual combo, but it's a +1, right? So let's do this together. So I've just done embracing the moon. So embracing the moon, 3, 4, hands float up, float in, and sink the chi one time. Boom, hands float up, pull in, step out, and push, pull, push. And there's, lots, you've seen me do it. There are lots of variations on how to do this. Simple way, let's step back in so we can do the other side. Step in, step out, and push, pull. Does that make sense? Right? But what if you didn't want to use push-pull? What if it's like, oh, God, I've done push-pull. I'm so bored with that movement. I just want to throw up. How about piercing the clouds. All right, so again, we're doing embracing the moon. Embrace the moon. 3, and one more. 4. Float back up, finger hums together, sync the chi. Da, 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 da. Good, hands float up in front, pull back into the heart. Now the fingers come together like a spear point and push, then open wide, do the breaststroke, and piercing the clouds. 2, and 3, beautiful. Let's bring it back in so we do the other side. Stepping in, stepping out, and piercing through the clouds, separating the clouds away. Find a little blue sky. 2, and 3. Good, let's bring it back on in. Hug the tree, sink the chi. Right, so there's a +1. Does that make sense? All right, now, let's say we move on from that and we are into the second combination, play peepaw. Play peepaw and parting horse's mane. So I want to do something more, right? I've got those 2 movements. Everybody's doing that well. My class is getting used to this. I want to do one more movement. So you can add another +1. Now, this next +1 is further along in the choreography. We might say it's even sort of like in phase 2, the journey begins, the second phase of the choreography cycle, right? So I want movements that are a little bit more challenging, maybe, a little bit more, but not too much, right? A little bit more, but not too much. So let's say we've just done, play the peepaw, right? Circle around and part horse's mane, step out 1, 2, 3, bring it back in, play the peepaw, 1, 2, 3, swing over. Swing over this way, step out and, no, swing over this way and the deer. I had to figure out how to do that. You should figure that out before you get to class. Right? And then you're over the other side and step out and the deer. Boom. And you can do some swaying side to side before you go. Right? Deer again. And one more time, sway side. And the deer again. Boom, 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 boom. And step back and play the peepaw. 1, 2, 3, center, hug the tree, sink the chi. So the deer, for example, is a little bit more challenging than just piercing the clouds, but it's still simple enough so that you could use it in the beginning part of the choreography. So again, that's a +1, right? When you have really started to get really good at this basic routine, and we start to take a look at not only the 18 movement basic repertoire, but also the expanded repertoire. So for example, in the next year of movements in 2013, 2014, whatever, we have the crane spreads wings rooster, right? We have that combo. Beautiful move that we can add to the end of any one of the combination. Let's say we add it to the end of brush, knee, and push, right? So I've just done brush, knee, and push. Sit back. I'm going to go to the middle with a scoop under. Crane spreads wings, boom. Crane spreads wings, boom. Crane spreads wings, boom. Rooster. Beautiful, right? Does it make sense? And then you do the other side with those 3 repetitions. Now, when would you want to do this? Or / why would you want to do this? So one of the reasons why you would start to add a +1 is for variety's sake, so that you always keep your group sort of looking forward to something new, a new little spice, a new little flavor in class. I'm going to suggest to you that that's after at least a month, maybe 2 months of just the basic routine. Trust me, they won't be bored with just the vanilla. But after a couple of months, and you're looking around and going, oh, these guys are getting in the flow like that. They are so sweet. Now I'm going to come into class. Every class, I'm going to have a different +1 somewhere. Right? Say they never know where it's going to be or what the combos. And I promise you that at the end of that class, just that one extra +1, people are going to go, what a great class. I love that class. Yeah? So that's one reason why you might want to do it. The second reason why you might want to do a +1 is if you are teaching a class that needs to be longer. The basic routine, as we choreograph it, like when you watch the video that we did in San Antonio, you'll see that it's almost exactly 30 minutes. If we had done 3 opening the hearts instead of just 1, it would have been right at 30 minutes. But what happens if you're teaching someplace and they've said, you know, you need a longer class? So our full length classes are 45 minutes. So how do you stretch out that extra 15 minutes? Right? So one way you do this is you add a +1, which is repeated 3 times on each side after every combo. Let me say that again. By adding a +1, which itself is repeated on each side, you'll find another 15 minutes to add to your class time. All right, so that's a couple of different reasons why you might want to why you might want to do a +1. All right, so that's a pretty simple concept. Any questions about that principle? Yeah, Janice. Hold on a second. Can you do your microphone? There.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So my question is, are any of the +1s movements that we would have to build up like we do with the other ones? So that would take more time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have so many, you know, like, so let me grab my glasses here. So if I can find the notes on, I was just looking this over earlier this evening. What did I do? Okay. The original list was 18 movements. Then the next year we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 8 because we added all the 8 pieces of brocade. So that's 13, 14, 15, all 5 animals, part B. That's 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. And then a 9-step routine. So that's 36. So we added 36 movements in the original 18. So in other words, I'm just illustrating here how many movements we have in the expanded repertoire that you could choose from. And some of these, very appropriately, you would progress, you break down and then progress them. So yeah, it starts to take longer.
And where are we going to find those?
So we've had them posted at various times. They're not there now, but we've had them posted various times on the instructor resource page. One reason why we took them down is because we wanted to reintroduce them. Almost all of them have, over the past 5 years or so, we did as combos of the month or moves of the month. So, but like for people who are new that haven't, So we're going to reintroduce them and give you guys a chance to learn them again. Yeah. We'll make new videos, so we'll have them added into the video library, and then we'll put them up, like we're doing this month with the 5 animals. We'll do move and combos of the month again on all those. But yeah, so it's up to something like over 100 movements that we have in the expanded repertoire. Cool. Let me just change the camera here. What else? Other questions? Yeah, Judy.
I think I just forgot what I was gonna ask. Mary, Lois and I were talking about taking goat. So, anyway.
I don't know what to say about that. You've made me.
You don't know how to answer
Right?
that.
First time ever.
Anyway, seriously though, learning the extras, so to speak, are they required of new students?
Of new students, no. They are not required of new students. And thank you, that's actually a great question. What is required of new students is to learn all of the 18 movements in the basic repertoire and being able to use them as their +1s. But what is required during the course of their first year as instructors is to accumulate continuing education credits. And one of the ways that you get those continuing education credits is to come to the combo or move of the month classes where they will learn new moves, right? And be able to add those into their classes in that way, right?
I have to say that the move of the month was probably one of the best things that happened because you could adapt those moves to any part of your routine.
Yeah.
It was really good, and we're having one again when?
2 weeks from today, the 20th.
20th, okay.
right.
And I need some money for backing it, right?
That's right. We'll get you that. Again, I'm going to double your salary.
You're right.
For those of you who weren't, who are new enough so that you didn't ever come to one of the old move of the month classes, sometimes we did one move and sometimes we did combinations, that we would break down. And I would typically do 2 or 3 variations so that you'd have some different ways that you could do the move. And you could think of those as modifications in your mind if you wanted to. So, oh, I think I would do this one with my students, but this one, right? So we would do different versions of the movement so that you could have some flexibility and some newness that you could add to every class.
I kind of want to bump this up because I am one of those that after we've done something so long, I get bored. They don't.
No.
I do.
This is a caution to all of you that flow, because the Tai Chi Fit method is not about memorizing a routine. This is in contrast to traditional Tai Chi teaching. Traditional Tai Chi is almost always you have to learn and memorize your routine, long form, short form, medium form, whatever. Tai Chi Fit is not like that at all. It is an entirely follow me type format. Because it is a follow me type format, familiarity is actually a benefit to your students. They'll get into flow better with movements that they recognize and are familiar with. So you want to be judicious. You want to be careful about how much new stuff you throw. Like you guys know, like every Monday I do the morning flow show, and some of you have been in some of the other classes I do. Like I have an infinite variety of routines that I teach because I make them up as I go along, right? But they're the same moves. You know the moves that I use. And the familiarity of the movements makes you able to get into flow no matter which choreography I do. So when you start thinking to yourself, oh God, I'm so bored with these moves, I'm so bored with this class, you're the only one thinking that. The rest of the people in your class are like, maybe one new move, that'd be great. That's a lot of fun, or two moves, but I'm so glad we're still doing sinking the chi because I'm really good at that one. That's awesome. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions about the +1 principle? Okay, so let me introduce one last principle, and then we'll get on out of here and go have fried chicken. This is what I call the golden nugget strategy. Hold on one second, I'm going to turn off the microphones again. The golden nugget strategy. Now, I didn't come up with that term, by the way. Some students of mine years and years and years ago came up with this, even before I taught Tai Chi Fit, because I have all these little tiny details and little tiny stories and little tiny perspectives on all these movements that I would often do in class, just sort of random trivia, if you will, almost in a way, about every movement. And then they will always say, oh, the part we love about your class the best is their little golden nuggets. I'm like, okay. So this is a strategy that you can use to really keep spice going in your class. And here's how you use it. At the end of your regular Tai Chi Fit flow class, after the whole class is finished, after the last sinking the chi, thank you very much, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, blah, blah, blah. Now don't go away. Don't sit down. I have one more thing I want to share with you. And this is the golden nugget moment. And what you do then is you pick, and this is designed to be very short, 5 minutes. Right? Don't draw this out, 5 minutes. One golden nugget about a movement. So where do you get these movements? Where do you get this comes from your repertoire of basic moves, right? So let's say let me just pick a random example. In the 5 animals, we do the bear, right? You do the bear rubs his tummy, right? So here is a little interesting golden nugget, right? So you can come right over and say, I want everybody to make fists like this, all right? So this is not a proper punching fist. This is a different kind of fist. So you got your thumbs over the top of your index fingers, right? Now, what I want you to do is to use right here at this thumb knuckle, just sort of little bit of pressure, little bit of push in right on the top of that thumb into your belly. Now, when you circle, I want you to continue to push so that you can really get a good massage all the way around there, right? You come all the way around and then reverse direction. Rub it the other way. But it's not just sliding over your shirt, it's pushing in a tiny bit. All the way around there. Reverse direction. All the way around. Right? Reverse direction. How many times do you do this? Well, in fact, you do this enough times so that that pressure in there really stays with you once you're finished. Right? So you're still feeling like, oh, I got a good tummy rub there. Good, right? And that's a little secret about the bear. Golden nugget. Always at the end of class, never at the beginning. Always short, 5 minutes. And if you're like, well, I don't know any golden nuggets, that's why we have the monthly instructor hangout. Because all you got to do is show up and go, DDR, I need a golden nugget for this month, and I will teach you one. Make sense? All right, excellent. I'm coming back in. Okay. Well, that's all the stuff I brought tonight. I'm sorry if it wasn't enough there, but that's all I could think of today.
I need to go my nugget for this month.
Well, you have to come tomorrow night.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I got fried chicken. I'm already 5 minutes past my prime there.
Oh, it's got burned chicken now.
Probably right. Let me make an announcement about tomorrow night, by the way, just so that everybody knows what we're doing. In case you weren't in the Morning Flow show on Monday or didn't hear about it or didn't get the email that I sent out, tomorrow night is our instructor hangout. So for those of you who are instructors who've graduated, come tomorrow night. Do something that we've never done before, but which we should be doing with all of our students from now on, all of our teacher trainees. And that is talking about what we might call the Taiji Fit Creed, our philosophy. It is more than our mission statement, although it includes that. But it's like, what do we believe? What are the principles that we believe in that guides who we are as a community and what we do as a community of teachers? And so we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. I'll read it over. I'll try to provide a document for everybody to read. You can have it for yourself. You can download it, and then we'll have a discussion about it. That's what.
And besides that, you're going to need about 2 or 3 or more new instructors.
So we'll have lots of fun. As I pointed out, it's BYOB, so make sure that you're prepared for that. And I think that's all I got. So everybody have a good time tonight?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. As I said, we got it recorded. We'll get this uploaded as quickly as possible, and I'll send out a link via email to everybody so that you'll know that it's there and ready. I will say something about recorded classes. So I don't know if y'all know, but I can see how many views all the recorded classes get.
Oops.
Maybe I'll just leave it hanging right there.
Whoops.
We'll talk about that more tomorrow night. Thank you, guys. Love you very much.
In other words, some of us are tired.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.